Hello, in this video, I'm going to show you a quick and dirty method to make year-over-year Black Friday Cyber Monday comparisons. So that's comparing Black Friday 2023 to Black Friday 2022 and seeing how your Black Friday campaigns compared year over year. We need to do it this way. We need this method because Google Analytics 4, most stores did not have Google Analytics 4 set up and working in time for Black Friday 2022. And so they can't make those year-over-year comparisons in Google Analytics 4 directly. You could use Universal Analytics, but Universal Analytics has a different sessionization model than Google Analytics 4. So that means that we can't really make an apples to apples comparison between Google Analytics 4 and Universal Analytics. If you did have Google Analytics 4 set up in time for Black Friday 2022, you may even still see some issues because Google Analytics 4 has had lots of issues, you've probably noticed, and some of them have even been fixed over the past year. So the data in Google Analytics 4 may not be the same between Black Friday 2022 and Black Friday 2023. So the solution to that problem is just to use Shopify data. And that's what we're going to do in this spreadsheet. We're going to use Shopify data because there's been no major platform changes to Shopify. And so these year-over-year comparisons are going to be valid. We can make that apples to apples comparison without worrying about different sessionization models or what issues have been fixed and things like that going back to last year. We can just be confident that Shopify's data has been consistent, and that's what we're going for with year-over-year comparisons. We need consistency. So let's take a look at how this spreadsheet does that. So first, you can see here that it's a very simple spreadsheet. This is a very high-level analysis, but it really gets us into the meat of what's going on, what's changed between last year and this year very quickly. Cool. So I have a column for 2022, and I have a column for 2023, and I've got some key metrics: sessions, orders, conversion rate, gross sales, discounts, sales discounts, and average order value. And then I also have some data by the attribution, so the source medium or the channel grouping for my orders and sessions. Okay, cool. So let's jump in how to fill this in. So first, you're going to go to your Shopify store. So go to your Shopify store, go to Analytics, click on Reports, and go to Sessions by Referrer. Right? And all I want is these top level numbers, right? So first I need to select the date range. Now, a quick note about date ranges. This is another area where you need to be sure that we're making a one-to-one comparison. So select the date range that needs to be the same number of days. So if you started your Black Friday Cyber Monday campaigns a day early this year, then you need to make sure you select the same date range for last year, the same number of days. What I like to do is just select the entire month of November because there's been the same number of days in November from last year to this year. And so that's just the easiest way to make an apples to apples comparison, is just to compare the entire month of November. So that way, you know, that's going to include the changes that we care about, including, hey, we ran our campaign a day early. Did that improve our performance or did it hurt it, right? Things like that are going to be captured if I select the entire month of November. But whatever date range matters to you, just make sure that you consistently pick the same number of days. Otherwise, you could bias the results in favor of last year or this year, depending on how long you ran your campaigns for. I don't recommend using the Black Friday Cyber Monday thing here, the BFCM date range that's built into Shopify, because that's literally just Friday to Monday. So the developers who created this are just a little too literal for data analysis. And obviously most people are running campaigns these days, you know, a week or 2 or 3 weeks in advance of Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Sometimes the campaign goes through Wednesday. You want to capture all of that to capture really the difference in performance. So my recommendation is just to use the entire month of November. And that's what we're going to do here. Okay. And then what you're going to do for the sessions is you're just going to take the sessions number here. So you just take that and just drop it in there like that. Just copy and paste it. All right. Now, this is dummy data here. This is a dummy store. This is not really the number of sessions. This isn't a real store. So just ignore the numbers that I'm going through here. But the user interface is the same to select the data. All right, so you do that for this Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Now you need to go last year, and there's no other way to do it. You just have to go click, click, click through the date range picker here and select the date range. Again, make sure you select the same number of days, whatever it is. We're just selecting the entire month of November, so let's just do that, right? And then I would copy and paste those numbers into the sessions column for 2022. Okay, cool. All right, so that knocks out sessions. Now we need to get order data. To do that, go back to your reports here and go to sales over time. That's the report we're going to take a look at, right? Again, select the same date range. In my case, it would be November. Now, there's dummy data here, so there's no orders in this store. But what you're going to do is copy the total number of orders for whatever your date range is, and you're going to paste that in here for 2022. Okay, cool. Once you do that, you'll get the conversion rate numbers for this year. Do the same thing for last year, and you'll get the conversion rate numbers for last year. But we also want the gross sales and discounts. So what we're going to do is copy the gross sales and paste that in here. And then we're going to copy the discounts and paste that in here. Now, there's a reason why we use gross sales minus discounts in this spreadsheet, and we don't just use the net sales or the total sales numbers that are calculated for you in Shopify. And the reason why is returns. So I'm recording this video on December 4th. All of my returns, all of your returns have not yet been processed for Black Friday, Cyber Monday 2023, right? All of the returns have been processed, obviously, for last year's Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So if we were to include returns, which this total sales number and this net sales number does in Shopify include returns, we would be biasing our results in favor of this year because we haven't gotten this year's returns yet. So that's why we use gross sales and discounts and we ignore returns, right? Okay, cool. Once we enter in those numbers, we will end up with our total sales. So you definitely need the discounts here because you might have had a different discounting strategy. If you discounted 10% last year and 50% this year, we need to make sure that we account for that. And we end up with this total sales numbers, right? And we also throw in the average order value. Once you've done that, you'll have your high-level metrics. Those are done. So you can come in here and you can look, what was the absolute change? What was the percentage change, right, between last year and this year, right? And those are the things that, are really going to tell you. These are high-level metrics, but they really tell you almost everything that happened this year in between last year and this year at a high level. This would be a great starting point to dig in if you had a disappointing Black Friday, Cyber Monday, or if you knocked it out of a park, right? You could look at this. One store asked me, they had numbers similar to this, and they said, okay, what happened, right? Like, all right, look at this. Hey, we knocked it out of the park. We had almost $1 million more revenue this year from Black Friday, Cyber Monday than we did last year. That's great, right? More than doubled our number of orders, things like that. So how did that happen, right? Well, what happened is you can see here that the number of sessions more than doubled, right? I don't know if that means they were spending more on ad campaigns and things like that to drive more sessions, or if they were, or if they have a larger brand presence or things like that. We can't tell that from the numbers. That we're going to get into down here when we look at this breakdown by the session source. But these high-level metrics will point you in the direction of what started happening. Did we have a higher conversion rate or did we get more sessions? Those are two very different drivers of Black Friday, Cyber Monday performance. Okay, cool. Now let's jump into how do I get this attribution data? So this is going to be these high-level metrics, but broken down by source medium. This is a big question because we don't have Google Analytics for last year. We don't have a consistent way to compare attribution over time, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to use Shopify, right? And I will show you how to get that. So what you're going to do is you're going to come in here and we're going to go back to that sessions by referrer source report here. And we're going to completely chop it up. So that way say it looks like this, and it gives us this attribution data that we need. So what you're going to do is come to this report, right? And all we want is sessions. We want sessions and conversion rate. That's what we're looking for, okay? And then I'm going to select UTM source, medium, and campaign like this. And I'm going to get rid of refer name and refer source because I don't care about those, right? And I also don't care about the city. All right, cool. Now, when you do this, you will have a nice little report that shows you the campaign source, medium, and I selected term. I want campaign, not term. I want campaign name like this. Cool. So that's what we got. All right. And what you're going to do is export that report. So you'll export it to a CSV. It'll download to your desktop, right? And then all you have to do is pop open that report, right? Select the data. You'll have data there, right? And you're going to paste it over so you can delete delete all of these, paste it over, right? And once you do that, you'll paste it over and add the date, the year. So just drag, enter in, if you started with 2023, enter in the year after you paste it in and drag the year down, right? Like that. You're going to do the exact same thing. So take that same report and go click all the way through to November of 2022, right? And paste that report, export it like that, paste that report in here and set the year as 2022. When you do that, this acquisition pivot over here will automatically sum all of this data. So you can come over here and you can select the top 5. So you can select the top 5 now. It looks like, the store that we were looking at here had a little issue where they were using TikTok and TikTok. So maybe we combine those two. You can just massage this data pretty easily. That's why I like to pull it into a spreadsheet so I can make those little minor adjustments. But what I would do is take the top, 5, 6, whenever the sessions drop off precipitously. So that would be right around here for this store. And this is direct. So we've got direct, Facebook, Google, Klaviyo. Okay, cool. And then I can come over and I just paste those numbers in here. So I would just take this table, take these results, copy them, go over here, and just paste them down here. Make any corrections you need to, right? Cool. And then I've got my session source, my channel breakdown for year-over-year comparisons, Black Friday, Cyber Monday. All right. So now we can start to address the question, what happened? We know that sessions were what was driving the big increase in performance this year, right? So where did those sessions come from year over year? Well, you can see Google, big increase, right? And I could dig into this further. I'm just looking at the source here, but I could update this pivot table to include, so you'd come in here, click edit. I could update this pivot table to include the medium, right? And I could drill down into Google and say, okay, was it CPC, right? What was it? What was driving that performance? Looks like the big difference between 22 and 2023 was CPC, although they renamed, they went with a different naming convention here, right? So we know that that's like Google paid, right, is part of that, right? So there was a big increase in Google paid. There was an even bigger increase in Klaviyo, right? And this is something I always like to point out. As stores grow, they tend to acquire more newsletter subscribers. Just as a function of time, the longer you're around, more people subscribe to your newsletter. People subscribe faster than they unsubscribe. So you end up with a bigger email list. That can be a big driver of growth between Black Friday one year to the other. And it obviously is in this case. You can see that 4 times as many sessions came from their Klaviyo email list this year as came from their Klaviyo list last year. That's probably just the growth of email over time. Now, I like to point that out because that can actually mean your conversion rate can decline, but that can be good. So usually conversion rate declining is bad. In the case of free mediums like Klaviyo or Google Organic, the number of sessions might be going up in this case 4x, but the cost to get that 4x increase in sessions was the same. because it's free. It's our newsletter. It's free. So declining conversion rates for your email campaigns and to a lesser extent your organic campaigns over time is not necessarily a bad thing. That can actually be a good thing. It just means your newsletter is growing, which is great because that's free. That is free. Those are free orders, right? Now, Facebook would be very different, right? You can see here, TikTok, they went from 0. They started advertising on TikTok this year, right? But Facebook would be, you're paying for every click. That you want the conversion rate to go up over time, right? Direct might be another case where conversion rate going up over time, down over time, not necessarily a good indicator one way or another. What's probably happening here with direct is that the user is that this store's brand is just getting more awareness. There's more word of mouth, things like that. These are the kinds of qualitative things that we look for in this Black Friday comparison. So I hope this spreadsheet helps you make those kinds of comparisons. If you want to do deeper analysis and really make year-over-year comparisons, we do offer a data team. This is an outsourced data team service that we do. We build you a unique data set where we pull your entire history. So we pull Shopify, we pull Google Analytics 4, we pull Universal Analytics, and we merge it all together so that way you can get a complete picture of your data over time. It's particularly useful this time of the year for Black Friday, Cyber Monday analysis because you need that deep history, but it's useful all the time for year-over-year comparisons like we're doing in this spreadsheet. So if you want a deeper analysis, take a look at this. If this is good enough for you, just avail yourself of the link in the description on this video and grab this template and use it. And I hope you find it useful. Don't forget to subscribe to this video if you find it useful. And thanks for watching.